Yo, welcome to my first ever YouTube video. On this video we're going to be running through 17 matches I'd love to see on Forbidden Door 2. Some of these matches might happen, some of these matches might not, but I think these would all be fire on the card. Alright, so the first match I'd like to see on the card is Riho versus Azumi for the high speed title. I think this should be fire because there's just two little pocket rockets absolutely running at it and just beating the shit out of each other. I'm a relatively new Stardom fan, so from what I've seen from Azumi though, she is fire, man, bro. Like, she literally just is so quick and stiff, which is something you don't see in Western women's wrestling as much these days, if at all. It should just be a quick match to really get the crowd into it. I think it should go on first on the pre-show, so the crowd there can, really get hyped for the match because it's quick, exciting, and then the crowd would just be extremely keen for the rest of the show if the show lives up to the same standards, which with this card it should. The next match I think should happen on this pre-show should be the Blackpool Combat Club, consisting of Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli, versus the newly formed faction of Minoru Suzuki and Ren Narita. Personally, in this match, I want Suzuki to forearm Wheeler Yuta so hard that he blades and just has the sickest crimson mask ever. The next thing I think would be sick to happen is Claudio goes for his usual big hot tag and he's going to do the big uppercut on Suzuki, but Suzuki just no-sells him and calls Claudio a young boy. And one thing I really want from this match is Narita to just have a huge showing and also a big sequence of events with Yuta and Narita, as I think that'd be a 6 singles match for the future, maybe in the best of the Super Juniors. I also think Narita should get the pin on Claudio. I know people will say that might do shit to Claudio, but it doesn't matter. Narita needs to go over here, as I think him and Umino will be the next big feud in New Japan for the years to come. I would also love Desperado to be at ringside supporting Suzuki and Narita, as it seems they've formed this new faction. In all honesty, it could be my favourite faction in professional wrestling if they align. Because just imagine them Trios matches, man. Imagine the stiffness, imagine them three just beating the shit out of people just because they like it. Okay, for the last match on the pre-show, I'd like House of Black versus LIJ. LIJ consisting of Takahashi, Bushi and Shingo. I think this would be such a cool, interesting and also pretty funny dynamic with, the evilness and the seriousness and the darkness of House of Black versus Tranquilo, LIJ. I think that'd be so funny. And also, not to mention, just a fucking unreal match, man. Could you just imagine Shingo, Takagi and Buddy Matthews having an exchange, bro? Oh my god, that'd be insane. And also, personally, I'd love an exchange with Takahashi and Brody King. I think that'd be pretty funny seeing them two go at it. Also, I think it'd be sick seeing Brody King annihilate Takahashi in one of them spots, but also seeing Takahashi move around and work around and being really slick and smooth. I think Bushi could also do the same. For who should win, I think House of Black should go over, as it would solidify themselves as a very legit team, which is what they need right now. Also, beating LIJ would be a huge rub to them, considering how popular and how big LIJ are in the wrestling world. I think this would just be an awesome match with 6 great wrestlers, and I think it would be a perfect end to the pre-show. Okay, I think the perfect way to start off the main show would be having a rematch from the Best of the Super Juniors final from 2015 with Kushida versus Kyle O'Reilly. Could you just imagine this rematch, man? Personally, for me, from this match, I'll watch the callbacks from their Best of the Super Juniors final, and also just a lot of elite technical wrestling, obviously for Kyle O'Reilly, but Kushida can keep up. I think it'd be cool seeing Kushida go over, maybe, but I think you could go either way, considering Kyle's been out for so long. I think this would be a cool return match for him if he's ready around the time of Forbidden Door. But if he comes back earlier, I think Kushida should go over. If he comes back around that June, July time when Forbidden Door is, I think Kyle should go over, as I think he'd be a face then, considering the crowd loves him. And before he left, he was at the top of his game, man. He was so good, having elite singles matches with Joe, Phoenix, Darby Allin, etc. I think it'd be sick seeing this match. Could be easily a 5-star match. I think it's be really cool, man. Alright, on to the next match of the main show. Alright, next up I'm going to put FTR against Aussie Open. Now, I'm an Aussie boy, but man, that match they had earlier last year between FTR and Aussie Open was a banger match. I suggest you all go out of your way to watch it. This match should just be non-stop for about 20-25 minutes,
I think it's going to be a banger, as we saw in the previous match. I shouldn't have to do much more talking about this match. Just go and watch their match from last year. Unreal wrestling. But for who I think should win, I think FTR should retain the AEW tag team titles, as Aussie Open's not going to be in America full time. It's not really worth the risk for them to win the title.
Okay, so the third match of the show, and this is the most interesting one yet in terms of the result. So in this one I got Bishamon versus the Young Bucks for the IWGP tag belts. Personally from this match, I'd like to see Matt Jackson sell his lower back like the old New Japan days. I'd love in this match for the two singles matches in this tag match to be Goto and Matt Jackson and Yoshihashi and Nick Jackson, if that makes sense. I think a Yoshihashi and Nick Jackson exchange would be great, as we saw in the match from Rampage months ago. The big reason I say this is the most interesting match is because I think the Bucks should go over and win the IWGP tag belts here. Me referencing that result may or may not indirectly go with a result that I think should happen that I will talk about later in the video. So stay tuned for that, man, because it's pretty fucking hectic. Alright, for this next match, I have the first women's match on the main card. I think this match should be Kairi versus Hikaru Shida for the IWGP women's belt. I think Kairi should be off a hot feud with Utami, considering after their draw at Dream Queendom, Utami was staring that IWGP women's belt up and down, not taking her eyes off it. So, Kairi coming off that hot feud should be a great match once I have that match. That leading into this match at Forbidden Door with Hikaru Shida is guaranteed to be an absolute banger and be super hot with the crowd, considering they'll have a hard-hitting, stiff, technical exchange. And I think, obviously, Kairi is going to retain. One of my bold predictions for the year is that Kairi is going to retain the IWGP Women's Belt from Mercedes Moné after their clash at Battle in the Valley. I don't know if it's going to be a draw at Battle in the Valley or Kairi's just going to retain, but I think Kairi set up too many singles feuds in Stardom for her not to retain and Mercedes just to take it off her and have matches there. But we will get to Mercedes later on in the video. Alright, this next match on the card I believe should be Switchblade Jay White versus Adam Cole. I think this match will happen considering at the last Forbidden Door, Adam Cole actually turned on Jay White, even though they had an alliance going into the match, considering they're both ex-Bullet Club members, Jay being a leader, and Adam Cole sort of being a leader in Ring of Honor for Bullet Club. I think the build-up to this match should be great, considering they're both unreal on the mic, and Adam Cole should be coming back from his concussion, which could also mean he could be positioned as a babyface against the heel Jay White, which could make for a great dynamic in this match. I think I want Adam Cole to go over here, considering Jay White's kind of going through his manic phase right now. He's freaked out after just losing to Toa Okada at Wrestle Kingdom. He's in this depressed state, and if he loses to Adam Cole, that will further this, leading to maybe just an absolutely insane heel run from Jay White, where he just goes insane, kills everyone, doesn't try to be funny, he's just dead serious, doesn't care anymore, and he just wants the titles, he wants to win, he doesn't care. And on the other hand, Adam Cole will be fresh from his concussion, should be really hot with the crowd, will probably be a great return before the show. I think Adam Cole should win. The next match I want to talk about could so easily be the most fun match on the card, with the chillest wrestler in the world, Tetsuya Naito, versus the one who literally doesn't try, Orange Cassidy. I think people might be a bit reluctant to like this idea of this match. People also said the same thing about the Will Ospreay match at the last Forbidden Door, and that ended up being the best match on the card. I think Orange Cassidy has proven to be a great wrestler, and we shouldn't underestimate him anymore, and especially with Naito, they're just bound to have an unreal match. They're going to have great exchanges, as we saw at the start of the Cassidy Ospreay match. They had that great exchange at the start with the standstill after all the moves and that. I think we could see the same thing with Naito. And after that exchange, I want Naito to hit the Tranquilo pose, and I want Cassidy to walk up to him with his hands in his pockets and do the kicks to Naito whilst he's in the Tranquilo pose. How funny would that be? Also, for who I think should win, I think Naito should go over, considering he hasn't really been doing too much in New Japan recently, and Cassidy doesn't really need the win. I think Naito should go over. Next up, we have one of the most underrated matches on the card. That will easily, I think this was my prediction for the future. I think in like 5 to 10 years, this will be the main event of Forbidden Door then, and it's still going on. We've got Konosuke Takeshita versus Shota Umino for the All Atlantic title. I also think Takeshita would beat Orange Cassidy for the All Atlantic title. These two are literally the future of wrestling. We've seen how good Takeshita is recently with these matches with Moxley, Kingston. And now, next week, at the LA show, we've got him versus Danielson, which could be an early match of the year contender. We've seen the same with the Roughneck, Shota Umino, with him getting the pin on Sonata in Keiji Muto's last match in New Japan. New Japan clearly think the world of Umino and are clearly going to book him to be at the top of the card for years to come. We saw Umino get insane spots in the tag match last year with Suzuki and Jericho and that, and he had a really great showing at the end. Got really over with the crowd. I think we could see the same thing here, and this could be easily the most underrated match on the card. Could be one of the best matches on the card. I think he should retain so he can continue his run as All Atlantic Champion. I think he should go forward, have matches in DDT, New Japan, on the Indies, PWG, GCW. I think it should all happen. I think Takeshita is the man. For this next match, it's a match that we actually got teased last year for Forbidden Door, but unluckily, the man CM Punk got injured on the road to Forbidden Door. So for this match, I'm booking CM Punk versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Now both these wrestlers are in the twilight of their careers. It might not be as good work rate wise as it would years ago, but obviously this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for them to wrestle, so you may as well book it while you have the chance. Even though this match isn't going to be as good work rate wise, it's going to have some unreal in-ring storytelling, as we know both these men have some of the best of it in the world and of all time. I think going into this match, Punk should be a heel, and he should be solidified as a heel. And I think Tana should be super over, like we saw him get super over with the crowd at last year's Forbidden Door. Now I'm not sure who I want to win this match, but I think I'm just going to leave that up to you guys. So you can tell me who's going to win in the comments down below. Okay, so next up, I don't know if you guys are going to agree with me on this one, but I'd love to see it. We're going to have Jon Moxley versus Zack Sabre Jr. Now you might be saying, oh, why isn't Sabre versus Danielson on this show? Well, we'll get to that later, alright? Now I mentioned this match because Sabre Jr. kind of teased it at the New Year's Dash show, where he got his young boy in, and when he was leaving the crowd he said, I've got my young boy, up yours Jon Moxley, up yours. Some of the things I want to happen in this match is Sabre Jr. should just be out wrestling Mox, because he's a better technical wrestler than Moxley is, because he's top 2 in the world at that. I just want Moxley to pierce him, forearms, elbows, knees, everything. Now, this is going to be a big deal if this happens, and I think it should. I want Zack Sabre Jr. to win. This would be huge for him, considering Mox barely loses. And Zack should be on the way to the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, if we're being honest. He should nearly be in that conversation right now. He's just the best technical wrestler in the world, alongside Bryan Danielson, obviously. This match would be fucking awesome. Okay, for the first huge women's match in this show, I've got Jamie Hayter versus
Utami Hayashishita
for the AEW Women's World title. I see Utami as like the women's version of a young Okada. When Okada came back from excursion, he had that first match with Tanahashi, and he was just an absolute beast. Full of confidence, full of that aura, that star aura. That's what I see in Utami. Now we saw at the Holiday Bash show, Jamie Hayter and Hikaru Shida just had the most epic, awesome match. They beat the absolute piss out of each other. And we see when they bring that stiffness into these matches, it just makes the matches so much better, so much smoother, so much cooler. And overall, it makes the match feel like more of a spectacle. Obviously, I think Jamie should retain here, considering Utami would barely be in America, if ever, besides this show. But I think it's good having multiple women's matches, as long as Tony gets Stardom involved in this, which he 100% should. That would be a huge mistake, not having the best women's wrestlers in the world on this card. Okay, now we are into the big boy matches, man. I want to book Will Ospreay versus Hangman Adam Page. I know, you might be thinking, oh, why is it an Ospreay versus Omega 2? Well, we'll get into that a bit later. This would really tell the story of Ospreay going after Omega's mates and going after him personally, rather than just having matches. This would make the story for when Ospreay finally beats Omega 50 times better, man. This would be an easy 5-star bout. And the one thing I need from this match is Ospreay to win with the Kamigoye into the 1 Million Angel, like Omega did to Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom this year. I think that would just be an absolute touch of brilliance to this story that they're telling with Ospreay and Omega, which should ultimately culminate at Wrestle Kingdom 18. Okay, I'm literally so excited to talk about this, man. My number one dream match in the whole of wrestling right now. I want Bryan Danielson versus Katsuyori Shibata. That literally sounds insane for me to even say. Okay, so we know from reports when Shibata came to America to wrestle Orange Cassidy, he said to Tony Khan, my two dream opponents are Orange Cassidy and Bryan fucking Danielson, man. Oh my god. This match would literally be my favourite match of all time, no matter what. I know you might be thinking, oh, but their brains, man, they are too fucked. But one thing to note is that if anyone can protect Shibata as safely in the world, it is Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson can completely change his wrestling style to suit Katsuyori Shibata. Although, I don't think Shibata wants him to do that. These men, can you imagine the grappling exchanges between these two guys? Would literally be the best thing we've ever seen in terms of wrestling and grappling exchanges. And oh my god, if they go hard, the forearm exchanges in this match would literally be the stiffest thing ever. Can you imagine these two men chopping each other and giving each other forearms? Oh my god. I need this match to go 45 minutes, man. I don't give a fuck about anything else. This is the one match I want to see more than anything in the world. This match is going to be absolutely awesome when it happens. And I think it could literally be my favourite match of all time once it's done and finished. We know that it's probably going to happen considering the OC match happened with Shibata. So this one is probably going to happen. And man, this would be a fucking moment in time. Two wrestlers that had to retire because of brain injuries. One that's been back for years and one that's just easing back into things now. Which 6 months from time, I think Shibata would be close to full-time wrestling again, considering he just had a match with Tom Lawler at the end of last year. That was basically a normal match, no rules, even though it was meant to be rules, but you know Shibata, he's just going to do whatever the fuck he wants. And I know Danielson would do this, and I need it as well, just for me. For my favourite wrestler, I want Shibata to go over. I think he should. It would be a huge moment for him. The fans would fucking love him in America. And he is that fucking guy, man. I need him back in New Japan. I need him back winning matches. I need him to win the title. The one thing yet he didn't get to do, the one thing he should do, he should beat Okada eventually for the IWGP Heavyweight title. The fucking GOAT. Okay, so this match is going to all come down to circumstances, but I think most likely this is very, very, very possible to happen at Forbidden Door. I'm going to book for the co-main event Mercedes Moné versus Julia for the red belt. Now, if this match doesn't happen in Stardom, and the main issue here is whether Mercedes Moné will be in AEW or not, we'll find out next week, obviously, at the time of this recording. But if she does debut, god damn, this match will be fucking so good. Because I think Mercedes Moné is going to be a completely different wrestler compared to Sasha Banks. And also, we saw Julia have the Women's Match of the Year last year with Shuri at Dream Queen, with her winning the red belt, which positions her at the top of the card of Stardom, which if she came to Forbidden Door in America, would position her at the top of Forbidden Door alongside Okada. So it would make sense the big Moné match, pun intended, would be Mercedes Moné versus Julia for that red belt, man. That would be insane. I'm hoping to be very stiff with this new version of Sasha, also known as Mercedes. I think Julia is obviously a proven, arguably the best women's wrestler in the world right now. And them two going at it would just be fucking class, mate. I think we have to see this. I think this should be booked. I think it's going to be a 5-star banger. Okay, here we are. The main event of my booked Forbidden Door show. I think it should be Omega versus Okada 5. I know some of you people think it shouldn't be touched again, but they haven't done this match on American soil yet. And that was a report for the ROHX New Japan show at Madison Square Garden that they were going to do Omega vs Okada 5, but obviously it fell through with Omega joining AEW. If they did this match here, I don't care what literally anyone else says, I want this match so bad. This would literally be insane to see this on American soil. Different crowds, different energy. I think there should be a lot of callbacks to their previous 4 matches. I think it would be cool if Omega went for the Rain Trigger and Okada fell down out of exhaustion like Omega did to the Rainmaker in their last match at Dominion in 2018. My big thing with this match is I think this match has been built to since Wrestle Kingdom. I mean, it's hard to look past it. Kenny going on before Okada and outperforming him at Wrestle Kingdom. When Kenny and Okada teamed up in that insane New Year's Dash match, Kenny was constantly looking at that IWGP Heavyweight title. And also, in that Wrestle Kingdom match with Ospreay, on Kenny's Titantron, what did it say? The cleaner, the best bout machine, the belt collector. And also, I'll be putting it up a shot on screen right now of Omega taking the belt off of Red Shoes and giving it to Okada himself personally. If you don't think that wasn't on purpose, you have clearly never seen an Omega Okada match before, man. So my big prediction for the year is Kenny's bringing back the belt collector. I think he's going to win them trios belts. He just won the IWGP US title, and I think he is going to win the IWGP Heavyweight title at Forbidden Door this year. And also, a bit of a dark horse, but I think there's a chance he wins the tag titles with the debuting Kota Ibushi. Obviously not at Forbidden Door though, considering I don't think he'll go anywhere near New Japan for years. But if they ended with Omega Okada 5 at Forbidden Door, I think this would be the best pay-per-view of all time. Easily. Fuck WrestleMania 17. Fuck All Out 2021. This would be the best pay-per-view of all time. Alright, thanks so much guys for tuning in to my first ever YouTube video. Expect a lot more to come. I really like talking about wrestling. It's one of my main hobbies in life. It's really fun to watch. It's really fun to talk about. I'm going to be running podcasts every day after Dynamite. Times could change on the podcast though, depending on school, because I'm in my last year of school this year. So I kind of need to focus on that instead of running a podcast. So leave a comment on your thoughts on this Forbidden Door card. Obviously it's a lot of matches, so just pick and choose from those matches and put it on the actual card. But I think those are just a bunch of dream matches I'd love to have on this future card. I'm loving wrestling right now. It's fun as it's ever been. January is the best time for wrestling. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.